Well, if you want to be a nomad, is van life the right way to do it? Or is RV life the right way to do it? Well, truth is, there's many ways to be a nomad. I've been saying this for years, but thought I'd make a little video and share my opinion on this topic as a longtime nomad. First, we'll start off with my personal experience. I did the whole, for very many years, traveled in cars, sometimes cars and sleeping in tents, even a little in a VW bus. That was not really a planned thing, and but I got to throw it in there because it's so iconic, right? And it was kind of a piece of junk by the time I was traveling in it, living out of it, and it definitely kept me on my toes. But that's a different story. So since becoming a nomad full-time better than a decade ago, I've lived out of a number of vehicles. I started out in a Toyota Camry. Why? Just because that's what I had. And it didn't work out to trade it on a van at the time, so I started with what I had. Then I went from that into a cargo trailer for a while, from that into a minivan. It was a Chrysler Town & Country, and had, I don't know, not quite 300,000 on it, but well over 250,000 miles. Then I had a Toyota Echo for a while. That's a little tiny two-door. That was when I bought it, was set up to flat tows. That was convenient. Then I had an E150 conversion van that had been set up as a nice camper. And then from there into this van, the E350 cargo van that has had several iterations of builds in it that needs change over time. And then I bought a 21-foot travel trailer, 21-foot travel trailer. And I towed that with this van, this E350 that I'm in. It did it. It was really the wind drag. It wasn't so much the weight. It was an ultralight trailer, but the wind drag, anytime the wind blew, was definitely kind of a challenge with that. And so anyways, when I bought the trailer, I had intended to upgrade this van to a pickup. That was right before everything went crazy, early 2020s, and the price of trucks went through the roof and never has come back down again. So eventually I sold the trailer and we bought a GMC Savannah box truck. So I've had quite a few vehicles, and as I say, I've done the nomad thing quite a few ways, from car or car and tent, depending, to a cargo trailer, to a minivan, to a full-size vans, to trailer, to box truck. So lots of ways to do it. I've done it, quite a few of them. Not all, but quite a few. So what's the perfect rig then? Well, as somebody who's tried a whole lot of them, my opinion that every rig has upsides and downsides. There's just no perfect rig for every nomad at every time. So even if you find a rig that seems pretty perfect for you at one point in your nomadic experience, there's a real good chance that over time, situations or preferences or needs change and is not quite so perfect anymore. So there used to be a thing, I don't know if it's still true, when I started doing this a decade ago, there was conventional wisdom in the nomad world was that it took about 3 tries to get your ideal rig, because no matter what you started out with, it didn't work quite the way you thought it was going to work, and it would take about 3 tries to really get the one that worked well for you. My favorite all-around of all the rigs I've had as a nomad, my favorite all-around is the 4350 that I'm sitting in right now. Not perfect, it's everything's trade-offs, but if I had to pick one all-around that was the best all-around thing, it'd be this van right here that I'm sitting in. One of the reasons I'm recording this video sitting in the van today. As a couple, if you get 2 people traveling, all bets are off on that. I'm not maintaining that anymore. As a solo traveler, this was my favorite all-around vehicle. Still not perfect as a solo traveler, but good. My favorite one for living in, for that end of things, the comfort, the living space, everything, was my travel trailer. And again, I bought that. I was single when I bought that, and it was more than adequate space for me. Literally a good chunk, I don't know, maybe half even, of the cabinets and storage space were empty. I just had a ton of room, more room than I needed, and it felt like a mansion after spending quite a bit of time in this van. Favorite for me as far as affordability go is kind of a toss-up, but either of the Toyota cars I had were both 40 plus miles a gallon consistently, so that was fantastic for affordability for traveling. And followed close by the minivan, that was you know, at 26 to 28 miles a gallon on the highway. I should note, anytime I mention MPG, fuel efficiency, I drive 60 to 65, 62 to 65. I do not drive fast. That's partly safety, it's partly efficiency. I don't want to waste the gas. I'm not in that much of a hurry, and I don't want to take the safety risks that come with driving faster. When I was, years ago, I was an EMT working in an ambulance, and we had an insurance guy come in and do an emergency vehicle operators course that I was certified in, EVOC. And I remember making a statement that was interesting, and that the data shows that every time you increase your speed 10 miles an hour, so not a huge number, 10 miles an hour increase in speed, you double the fatality rate in a crash, and you're also more likely to be in a crash. So I just take it easy. I'm not in that much of a hurry to get anywhere, and I get better fuel efficiency doing it. So either one of those cars might not have been 40 plus if you were trying to drive 75 or 80 on the highway, and the minivan would not have been 26 to 28 if you were trying to drive 75 or 80. And around town, I baby it too. So I just take it easy. I'm not trying to get anywhere fast. So as far as affordability, those were my favorite vehicles out of all the ones I've traveled in so far. But as far as nomads go, you know, there are nomads, and I've met nomads who are nomads on foot. They walk around, they have their backpacks, they have whatever they need, they carry with them. And not with them like Robert with them, but they carry it with them. I've met nomads who are traveling on bicycle. They can carry a little more stuff, and that's just how they're traveling. They got lightweight tents. They camp wherever they happen to be when they want to camp, and they're moving around on a bike. Very cheap. You're not going to get anywhere fast, but if you're more worried about taking your time and doing it cheap, that can be a really fantastic way to do that. I've met nomads on motorcycles, and of course in cars, SUVs, vans, truck campers, RVs, all kinds of things. And there's even quite a few nomads who travel by airplane, and they're usually staying in hostels or Airbnbs or that sort of thing, short-term rentals, and they kind of migrate around the world. And most times they're either retired or digital nomads, you know, remote workers. So there's like an infinite number of ways to be a nomad. The only common denominator is you're moving around and you're not fixed to one permanent or semi-permanent location. So many ways to be a nomad. There are some commonalities, I think, between different styles of nomad based on my experience. The first I'm going to say is freedom. And when I say freedom, it's almost a universal comment or reply for why nomads do the nomad thing. And it's also one that maybe has the most variation in terms of what it means to somebody. So, I mean, you can come up with a basic definition of freedom, I guess. But when somebody says, I'm doing it for the freedom, there's often some nuance to that. So it may mean something a little different to one person than the other. Adventure, I mean, if you're doing this kind of thing, unless you're only getting into this because you're absolutely desperate and you can't pay rent anymore, you can't pay the mortgage anymore, you don't have a choice. Generally speaking, people have a certain spirit of adventure, and they're looking for some new things, looking to see new things, have new experiences. Minimalism is one that comes up periodically, either because it's a driving thing or it just makes it work. So, and what I mean by that is, if you're a pretty serious minimalist, you may be looking at your house or even an apartment going, I am paying all this money for this and I don't need it. I really only have a handful of things. Everything I have fits in my car. I don't need all this stuff. My life would be simpler and more aligned with my minimalist values or my voluntary simplicity values if I just lived out of a vehicle and ditched the house and ditched the utility bills and all the rest. When I traveled in cars, the Camry and the Echo, and the Echo was actually a little trickier to do because it was actually smaller, but I literally could fit everything I owned in the trunk of the car. So when I was traveling, I didn't have anything out. When I was parked somewhere camping for a bit, I might have some things out, and in the back seat or the front seat space, stuff I was using consistently. But when I was traveling, everything went in the trunk, and the cab of the car was empty other than me and maybe my cell phone. But also minimalism makes this work well. If you don't have a lot of stuff, it's pretty easy to become a nomad because they don't have the difficulty trying to downsize, because no matter how much you think you've downsized, if you're about to move into a vehicle, you have not downsized enough. You're going to be surprised when you go to try and put everything in there and how much stuff doesn't fit. And frugality, frankly, is a big one for a lot of people. Not everybody. There are people who are retired comfortably or early retired comfortably, or they have sufficient income and they could do something else. But for a lot of people, either they have to do the nomad thing, or it's at least the best way to have a comfortable financial experience in their retirement. So either they couldn't pay rent or a mortgage, or they could do it, but they just would be strapped paycheck to paycheck and month to month, would not be able to travel or not be able to eat out once in a while or do things with friends. And so the frugality comes in a lot as well. So which option is best for being a nomad? I think it comes down to your personal preferences and resources. So what do you want? If you prioritize being able to travel easily and put some mileage on, you probably want to lean towards a smaller vehicle, say a van this size or smaller, so you can move around easily and get as good a gas mileage as possible. If you're more worried about comfort and convenience, and you're less worried about moving a lot, you plan on parking for longer periods of time, then you might want to tip towards a larger vehicle that doesn't get as good a fuel efficiency, but it gives you the comforts and conveniences, maybe an RV or something, and you're not moving quite as much, so the fuel efficiency is less of a problem. And resources come in. You might prefer a Class A RV, a coach, but if you don't have the budget for it, it doesn't matter, right? So you might prefer a Sprinter van over a ProMaster or a Ford Econoline, but if you don't have the budget, it doesn't matter. So preferences and resources, I think, really come into that as far as what option is going to be best. My recommendations, start with what you have. So if you got a car, start with that. If you got a minivan, SUV, whatever, start with that and try and do some simple things and try it out. Start with and if you're going to be buying something, start with what's affordable and available. Unless you really have the budget, you have a very good idea, you get enough experience, you have a very good idea what you're looking for. Otherwise, I mean, there's a real good chance you're going to end up upgrading in a year or two or three anyways when you have it dialed in what you're trying to do. And a lot of nomads who are new on the road, they do travel more in their first year or two and then kind of slow it down. So if you have to err one way or the other, maybe go with a little more fuel efficient vehicle to start, knowing that you can always upgrade to something bigger in the future. And I'll throw out an interesting concept here. Psychologists who study this sort of thing say that our brains are wired in such a way that we're very poorly equipped as humans to anticipate in advance what we are going to like or not like. I know we think we know what we're going to like or not like, but people who study this say it's really not true. We're not very adept at that. And so the best thing to do is to try new things. And you may find that some of them you like better than you thought you would, and you might find others you don't like as much as you thought you would. So, and the whole nomad thing could be one of those. That's why I encourage people to start with what you have, start with what's affordable and available, and make sure you even like it before you dive into years building out a rig and tens of thousands of dollars trying to get everything set up, and you make a big thing about quitting your job and telling everybody you're going on the road, and then you figure out you really don't like it very much. And if you are thinking about being a nomad, my recommendation has for a long time been to start now, if at all possible. And even if that means camping in your driveway or camping at a friend or relative's house who will let you park in their driveway locally, or just somewhere locally, you can get away with camping, just try it out. And then start taking some shorter trips. Because I promise, as soon as you start doing some overnights and you start doing some trips, you're going to figure out the pain points, and you're going to figure out what works for you and doesn't work for you. And if you get a rig you're planning on building out, I would sleep on a mat on the floor, put a cot in it, and maybe some plastic drawers from Walmart or totes, and to simulate your layout. Bungee cord stuff for the wall if you have to, but kind of simulate your layout and use it for a bit, because a lot of times what we think is going to be a perfect layout on paper when we're sketching it out, it doesn't work out quite so good in practice when we're trying to use it. And that just gives you a chance. If you do that, it gives you a chance to work out all the kinks before committing and before hitting the road full time and realizing that, wow, this build is not working out the way I thought this build was going to work out. I wish I'd done something different. Now I'm on the road. Now I have to unload stuff and hope it doesn't rain or the wind doesn't blow it all away, or I got to try and do a rebuild in a Home Depot parking lot, whatever. So trying it out, experimenting, gives you a chance to be more confident that the kinks are worked out before you commit to a legit build. And if you're thinking about becoming a nomad or trying it out, or you're new to this stuff, you're trying to sort out the details still, I do have a free Nomad Domicile guide. It's a PDF you can download. All you have to do is subscribe to my newsletter. Links in the description. If you don't like the newsletter, you can cancel anytime you want. You're not obligated to stay, but it's the easiest way for me to get that resource to people. Put your email address and you can download it instantly. What about you? That's my question now. What's your preference on how to be a nomad? Are you doing it? What do you think? What's working out well for you? Or are you thinking about it? And what do you think might be the way to go for you?